Hi, guys. Welcome back to Raw the podcast. I'm your host, Allie, founder of The Cheeky Clean, a wellness brand empowering conscious consuming. And we're going to stop on that word for 1 second, empowering, because that is the focus of our episode today. That's the focus of the brand. That's the focus of the fucking mission that we're on together as a force to hopefully uninfluence the world. I say uninfluenced a lot. What does that mean? Why is she always saying that? We are living in a crazy world of wild times where we are often addicted to our phones. And if we're not addicted, then we're at least living in society and in existence where we're somewhat accessible and bombarded by ads, content, things to shift the way that we think for a specific reason. And it's almost an art in this day and age to take our attention and to take our attunement back into ourselves. And I wanted to start with the formal definition by Merriam-Webster on what influence actually means, because it's become a buzzword. It just means someone who's getting to build their career off of paid ads and selling people things. That's what we think as it relates to Instagram, social media. Kids are saying they want to be influencers when they grow up. Times are wild. What does this mean? By definition, the power or capacity of causing an effect in indirect or intangible ways. A, the act or power of producing an effect without apparent exertion of force or direct exercise of command. B, corrupt interference with authority for personal gain. A couple of the words inside this definition stuck out to me. Power over, causing an effect, and personal gain. These are three things that, as conscious consumers, as conscious beings in general, we want to regain. We want to be taking our own power back. We want to be making powerful choices to be living in authority of our own lives for our own evolution, not for someone else's personal gain. And I think it's important to really understand this societal norms that we're living in, because in the past, watching TV, it was so obvious. It was almost kitschy, these advertisements that were being thrown at us as time went on. We've kind of blurred those lines. We live in a world now where we have one degree of separation of people who are being paid to sell us stuff for personal gain. That or brands that have one degree of separation from us. There's a reason why brands are outdoing their old versions of marketing and just focusing on social media, because they have direct access into our homes in ways that are tenfold compared to the old school version of advertising. And as the brain works in its powerful forms, we have to be aware of this. And when we gain awareness and when we gain knowledge, we're able to think twice, start to reel back and understand what is the intention behind not only this decision I'm making, like we talked about on last week's episode, but what's the intention behind the brand or the product that is selling this to me, or the influencer for that matter? Is this going to give them some sort of personal gain by me buying it? Or is this something that they're genuinely trying to get out into the public for reasons that are helping us all grow and evolve? I think it's so cool how, as a species, we are given a choice. We are the only species on planet Earth that is given this choice and free will. Animals, other beings are not able to have this level of consciousness and make these choices that truly can create, shift, evolve, or devolve, or descend, or transcend our destinies. It's so fucking cool. It's so fucking powerful. In this material world, it's so easy to see the limitations of this life by starting to peel back the layers and understand what is the consequence of my choices, and more importantly, what is the value of my choices if I actually dial them in, tune it up into a radio frequency that works for my energy. What destinies can we shift to? It's so fucking cool. The choices, the mindset, the energy that we're bringing is all preparing our vessel for whatever future outcome we choose to create. There's a lot of conversation in the spiritual world, so to say, in fate versus free will. I believe there is both, and we are fated to have certain encounters, to have certain exposure, to have opportunities. And it is our free will if we choose to accept them or choose to evolve from them. that also goes with difficult things that come in our direction. There is sickness. There are so many potentially negative forces coming at us on a daily basis, or our families, or that we're dealing with. And we have conscious choice as our tool to become empowered and to shift those norms and that reality, to grow, to heal, and to live lighter as beings on this planet. And it couldn't be more powerful. When I first started my Instagram page, The Cheeky Clean, it was out of a sadness and more of a fear even that I was going to have cancer infiltrate my life the way that it infiltrated my parents. I saw firsthand these inefficiencies and these negative consequences of unintentional choice. And at first I was really depressed about it. But when I started to make small little intentional shifts in everything from the products I was using, the basic materials that I was putting into my life and on my body every single day, to my energy, to what I was consuming, body, mind, and soul, every little shift became so empowering. And it was less about what have I lost? And it was more about what can I gain by making a conscious choice? And I really want to talk about just getting back to the basics today, getting uninfluenced, taking our power back in order to make conscious, intuitive decisions, and knowing what we're putting near us, and knowing that we have options to feel better, body, mind, and soul. My mindset, my energy, my creativity, my life is in a very transitional space. Last week's episode, I really kind of opened up and shared some of the darkness that I'm walking through right now, because I think the unknown can sometimes be really scary. It can be really fear-ridden when we don't know what's coming and we're letting go and shedding layers of ourselves that we've used as a crutch of control to protect ourselves and as a defense mechanism. The more I open up, not only in this podcast forum, but writing on my Substack and in my own personal life, and sharing real, raw, vulnerable feelings with some incredible humans in our community, in my community, and in my life, I've gotten reminders to empower myself, and reminders that it's the way that we choose to show up for ourselves, the way that we choose to go about our daily routines, the way that we choose to believe or not believe our thoughts that we're having, that truly change our lives and change ourselves. It has nothing to do with external circumstances around us. I'm passionate about sharing tools in order to get there, body, mind, and soul. Showing up in our most powerful version isn't for anyone else, it's for ourselves. And so today, I'm like, you know what? This is my favorite fucking day of the week. It's Thursday. I'm in the stew with the homies, and I'm gonna like step up my you know what and fucking feel good. I'm gonna put on a cute ass outfit and some cute ass shoes and throw on my blazer like the bad bitch that I am. And I'm gonna show up and remind not only myself, but all of us that we have fucking options and we are powerful beings, and we can exercise those choices on a daily basis. And it will not only change our lives, it will change the energy around us, and it will change our destiny. And it's such powerful shit. And you might say, why? Like, why does it really matter? The more I get back to basics, it's always about the why. It's when I look around at the collective, when I look at my family's experiences and the experiences around me, there is such a drastic need for change. It is stark. Change has never been more pertinent than it is right now, especially in the United States. And whether it's politics, health, happiness, we all feel it. There is a collective black cloud over the United States. And sadly, the systems that are in place that we've been taught to blindly trust are broken. And it's up to us now as individuals to come together, and it starts in our own soul and our own choices and how we're going to make those shifts happen, not only for ourselves, but the ripple effect that then affects our family, our communities, the people around us, and ultimately our country. For as advanced as we are, to be living in a country with world-renowned healthcare, technology, and access, we have a drastically declining mortality rate. It's wild. It really is eye-opening. I want to share a couple of these facts. 94% of Americans don't consume the proper amount of nutrients required for our bodies. The average American uses 25 gallons per year of products with hazardous chemicals in their home linked to cancer, allergies, birth defects, reproductive disorders, and psychological disorders. Daily exposure for a human is more than 700,000 toxic chemicals a day in the United States. Breast cancer is rising at consistently steady rates in the past 2 decades, especially in women under 40. It's become the most common cancer in the United States, and 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer in 2025. 1 in 6 people will have fertility issues. Food allergies have doubled in children in the last decade. And dementia, maybe one of the most stark facts yet, is rising dramatically, and cases will be doubling from now until 2060. This is our lifetime, guys. These are devastating facts, but it's reality. And sometimes understanding reality and becoming aware of the climate that we're living in can help us learn and understand why we can't just blindly follow anymore. We can't just blindly swipe up. We can't just blindly do what our favorite influencer is doing because their Instagram feed is aesthetically pleasing and they have 2 million likes. It's time that we take our power back, we make conscious, informed choices, and I'm going to show you how. And you'll be so surprised to know and feel fucking incredible to know that it's little shifts that make huge ass differences. We're going back to basics today, cheeks. And with that, welcome to the show. Let's get into it. So food, water, products, the environment, and our attention. Those are really the core of the how we're going to get back to our empowerment, to making conscious, intentional decisions that are shifting us away from a trajectory that's potentially ridden with disease and towards a destiny that's our highest level self while we're on this earth. How powerful to know that we can choose, right? So I mentioned some statistics in the intro. It's not to scare you. It's just to let you know what reality is, because I think the norm is to blindly assume that this can't happen to us. It can't happen to our friend. It can't happen to our family, but it's going to more than not based on these statistics. And so starting to shift and make changes to look towards prevention, longevity, positive ways to shift our attitude and mind. These are things that we can do that take us from feeling like we're effed to there's hope. And I'll never forget the first little shifts that I started to make inside my own home. It was like beams of light shining down, knowing, wow, there's a chance I could have a different fate than what my parents went through. And it's really fucking cool. I shared about 700,000 chemicals that humans are exposed to. But when it comes to daily, we're exposed to 515 chemicals that we're putting on our bodies in a day. The average woman is using 12 personal care products that contains a plethora of unique chemicals inside of it. What I love about the community right now in general, and we've talked about this before on the show, is we're starting to become more aware of the lack of regulations in our food. And we're talking about banning things from food, and we're looking more at ingredients, and we're pulling back the red 40 in 2 years, even though other colors exist. The regulations are never going to save us because they're so far behind, but we're having the conversations when it comes to food. What I've noticed is that we aren't having the conversations anywhere near as closely as it relates to the products that we're using. And in fact, I've seen a trajectory in the opposite way. I think beauty and toxic makeup and skincare, it's at an all-time high. Everything from medical grade skincare full of chemicals and makeup that is so highly toxic being used and promoted and popularized at younger and younger and younger ages. These are all things that we've got to stop looking at as cool and start seeing, okay, yeah, it's badass to have a 12-step skincare routine, but what is in that 12-step skincare routine? And is it serving me and my healthiest version of myself? And of these products, shampoo and conditioner, face wash, moisturizer, and makeup, perfume, deodorant, sunscreen are the top contributors to the diseases, hormone disruptors, endocrine disruptors, allergens, cancer. The skin is the most potent organ on the body. It's very porous, and we are absorbing 64% into our organ systems and our bodies of these products that we're putting on us. It is just as, if not more, important than the food that we're ingesting, because oftentimes it's even less regulated than that food that we're ingesting. I wanted to walk through some of these basic staples because to me, it's not about biohacking where you have to go and invest in this huge big device and, you're only going to live so long if you do all of this crazy shit. It's more about what am I already using? What is in my standard daily routine? And how can I shift those things to reduce my toxic load and not even change my routine, just change the amount of chemicals that are going in my body significantly. And these areas, these staples are things that we're using every day. And it is a prime opportunity for us to empower ourselves to shift it up. And frankly, it's fun. It's fun to use new and different products. It's fun to try something different and know, wow, like this isn't hurting me and it's not seeping into my skin. It's not going to cause me fertility issues in 5 years or allergy issues in my unborn baby or give me cancer. It's going to do what I need it to do, which is heal my skin, heal my body, wash my body. And it can be a beautiful process, the swap. So some of these I find are the easiest place to start and wanted to give you a couple resources today. When it comes to shampoo and conditioner, I love Carina Organics. It is a really clean, really simple brand. The products look cute in your bathroom and are effective. They suds, they foam, but they aren't using all of the chemical-derived additives, harmful chemical-derived additives, like the standard household brands on the market. I also really love. It's called Love shampoo and conditioner. I used to use that quite often. It's even cuter and chicer of packaging. So having that in your bathroom as well, if you really want like your shower to have a vibe. But yeah, gone are the days, guys, where we're using anything that's sold in CVS, truly. Any of those pharmacies, I walked in one the other day and I felt like I was in a vintage world because it's so crazy to me that we're still selling these toxic chemicals packaged up in consumer products in stores. So those are two really great options. Also, as it relates to body wash, Olivia body wash is fantastic. You can buy it in person at Everything Beauty, which is a clean spray tan, only clean spray tan on the market in Cleveland. Shout out to our girls at Everything Beauty. We love them. They do sell Olivia there. That's where I first found it. I really love the smell, the way it feels. A little goes such a long way. And it's not made with any fragrance, any scaries. It's all organic, clean, natural ingredients. It is possible to create formulas, guys, that still smell and feel good and are effective. It's just we've become so demanding of certain characteristics and certain formulas and frankly, not wanting change. When it comes to the behind the scenes that I spent in manufacturing, the number one concern for manufacturers in any consumable product, the number one concern is that the consumer or whoever's using the product will notice the formula has changed. Because as the statistics and the data shows, when there's change, the consumer becomes unhappy with the formula. We have to take a step back and realize, and I'm learning this in my emotional life too, impermanence is pertinent and we must be okay with change, not only okay with it, but actually find it powerful because that's the only way that we evolve. So if your body wash, your clean body wash isn't foaming as much as your trash ass version that you've been using, who cares? That trash ass version is going to cause you cancer. And I promise you, within 1 month, you won't even remember how foamy that one was, and it will become the norm. Change is power. Face wash, moisturizer, and makeup. So these are staples that most everyone is using on a day-to-day basis. And I've talked a lot about makeup in the past and skincare in the past because they're still very underregulated industries in the scheme. The threshold for chemicals and hazardous chemicals that is allowed in our products is wild. And the standard of quality that we've related to as a society is among the most toxic. So it is so important here to make smarter choices. And here is where, as consumers, we can really change these norms in the industry by just starting to make different choices within what we're using on a day-to-day basis. Think about every single day something that you're putting on your body. Those are the places that you really want to start. So Your Only Earth and Selfmaker both came on the podcast, two fantastic local resources that also sell online. Selfmaker has a plethora of products from skincare to makeup, and she's very conscious in her sourcing and the way that she's bringing products within the storefront. So definitely check them out. What I love about it is it's a safe space where you really don't have to go and read every single ingredient. You can trust that by Kate's standards, you are going to get a product that is so much better than the standard. Go back and listen to that episode for more specifics. And Your Only Earth as well. We had Christy on. We had such an incredible conversation. She makes everything in-house. They're fantastic products. And those are two local places and also badass women that you can support. We love to be Cleveland proud, but we aren't always Cleveland proud when it comes to the brands that we're using on a day-to-day basis. Imagine what we could do for small business if we supported locally for the things that we use every day. When it comes to the larger commercial brands, there are some that are getting bigger and trying hard to compete with the toxic norms and biggest brands out there being pushed by beauty influencers on a day-to-day basis. And as young as 13-year-old kids, it's crazy. But there are a couple brands, makeup-wise, that I really love. I've been using for years. I've been sharing them for years, unpaid, just because I'm passionate about not putting chemicals on my own skin. I really like Ilia, the brand. Their products are going to be most similar to those standard formulas that are on the market that are linked to potential disease. Ilia's formulas are going to work really similar. They've done a really great job to create clean dupes for everything that's on the market. And it's a great price point. I would say on a normal day-to-day basis, if I am wearing makeup, it is Ilia. I also love Ear Perez and 100% pure. Those are my favorites. And between those three, you can have really any product that you've ever needed a swap for that is toxic free. Perfume we talked about in detail on the Your Only Earth episode. Fragrance is fucking toxic. I don't know how else to say it in a nice way. There isn't a way to say it. Probably my biggest pet peeve that exists is going to a luxury hotel. Really like to travel and I really like to stay in a place where I feel comfy and cozy. I'm a bit of a homebody, so I like to experience a beautiful hotel property and resort. And I am always mind blown by how toxic the products are in these places that are so high end. Oftentimes we associate as consumers smell and fragrance for luxury, and they couldn't be less intertwined. Chemical fragrance is among some of the most toxic chemicals that we can put in our bodies. And as we talked in the episode, it's not just on us. It's more like secondhand smoke. It's getting into the environment, getting into your lungs, getting into your pet's lungs. And it's truly an incredible place to start when you're starting to switch. Not only looking at the back of ingredients, if the word fragrance is on it, one fragrance can contain hundreds of chemicals in it. So don't buy things that have the word fragrance in the chemical list, but then also switch over your perfumes. There are better, cool options that smell great. Christy, Your Only Earth, she has the roll-on kind of essential oil-based perfumes, which I love. We have options. Deodorant, a lot of people, it's interesting because this seems to be the one that is most well known. Deodorant has aluminum, breast cancer is rising. We've correlated it together. We've got to shift the way that we put chemicals near our tits, frankly. What's so crazy, so my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2007, and they did not give her any sort of protocol for how to reduce her toxic load, with the exception of one thing. They gave her a natural deodorant. So at least there was that. I mean, of all of the fucking bullshit that was given to my family in the hospital system that was maybe more toxic than the disease itself, at least I learned then about natural deodorant. And it's more so because the radiation and the chemotherapy, it's almost exasperated when you're then putting a heavy metal on your body. So it's less about prevention. You're not going to go into a doctor's office in Western medicine and have any sort of doctor tell you if you're having hormone issues or allergy issues or autoimmune issues. They're not going to say, well, what type of deodorant are you using? Let's switch away from that. They'll wait until you're about to shock your body with radiation and then tell you to switch to the natural deodorant. So it's like a little too late, you know? But anyways, that's when I first learned about natural deodorant, and it does work. It's become almost a saturated market now, which is so incredible. We have so many options of natural deodorant. The one reason why people think it doesn't work is because your body does get used to what you're using, especially when it comes to natural deodorants. So I do often like to switch up the type of deodorants that I'm using naturally. The ones that I like the best are Just Ingredients. I've talked about that brand on here before. She's super cool. She's a badass mom from Utah that has made it her life's mission of trying to bring safer products to the marketplace. And she shares a lot of fantastic information. So definitely go and follow her. But she's a real one, and she has deodorant. She has personal care products that I would definitely recommend checking out. I like the coconut vanilla one. It's great for summer. It's gender neutral completely. I also really like Primally Pure. Those are probably my two favorites right now. And they work. They work really well. There are a ton of options. Again, be careful because they have gotten more and more options that are greenwashing and saying natural deodorant that then have fragrance in them and things like that. So you want to look at the back. The ingredients should be really simple and really minimal. DM me, ask me if the brand's approved, but places to start, Just Ingredients, Primally Pure. Sunscreen. Okay, so we've been brainwashed to think that our bodies should not go near the sun. That is not the case. Of course, skin cancer is a real thing, but the reason why skin cancer became so prevalent, especially in our lifetime and our parents' lifetimes, is because the additives, the oils, and the chemicals that we were ingesting were making our skin so much more prone to sunburn and sun damage. You'll find the craziest thing when you really clean up your routine and you really detox your body and you aren't consuming industrial seed oils and you have like buttoned up, and I mean tight, your toxic load. And it takes a bit to get to that point because, again, your body has seeped this stuff in for so long. But you will not sunburn like you used to. It is so cool. And it's such a testament to how healing and beautiful the sun is and why that vitamin D and being outside led to so much health in generations prior to us. There's vintage pictures that you can see where old school hospitals had sun decks where people would be laying in their beds on the sun decks, getting sun and getting the powerful energy and healing properties and vitamins that the sun provides. It is so incredible for the body and for the mind, but doing so in a safe way is important. And because we've gotten to such a chemical-filled toxic space as consumers and as the norm, it's really difficult to be in the sun and not burn if you are for an extended period of time. So hence the rise of SPF and sunscreen. The problem with SPF and sunscreen is it is seriously one of the most toxic things that exists. And 10 out of 10 times, that sunscreen that you're putting on your body is so much more dangerous for yourself and for the earth and for the environment than if you were just exposing yourselves to the sun in the first place. However, because of what we're ingesting on a normal basis, I am not recommending that you go bake in the sun without anything on, but I am recommending that we really reel it in on the toxic SPFs that we're using and that have become the norms because they're so bad for us and they are a leading cause of cancer. The key ingredient found in 70% of sunscreens on the market contains oxybenzone. If you look at the back of your sunscreen and it says active ingredient and the active ingredients start with an O, fucking run for the hills. Throw that shit away. Go nowhere near yourself or your children. I honestly die inside when I'm watching parents spray their kids from head to toe with literal cancer inside of a can. The more I learned in the chemical industry was that there are certain chemicals that are better than others for actually reflecting and deflecting the sun's rays. Just choosing mineral versus chemical doesn't mean anything. So if you're looking at a sunscreen package and it says mineral sunscreen, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's clean. We want to choose a specific mineral. I've talked about titanium dioxide before. Titanium dioxide, TiO2, is a chemical that is not yet regulated in the United States. It has started to become regulated in Europe. It's used in everything in the States, from makeup to SPF because of its light reflectant properties to literal candy. Like, it's in Skittles. And actually, I think I saw the Food Babe post that Skittles is finally working towards starting to reformulate that product in the States to bring titanium dioxide out of it because it is a known reprotoxin and it takes a long time for these changes to happen. Titanium dioxide, because of the light reflectant properties of the actual pigment itself, it's just the chemistry. It is a active ingredient in most all of the mineral-based sunscreens. However, just like I said, it is regulated in Europe. It is starting the process of being regulated here. I don't even know when in our lifetimes we'll see it regulated in skincare type products. It's starting this much in food, sort of. More just, I would say, consumers are becoming aware and these buzzwords are coming out, and Skittles doesn't want to be canceled by Food Babe and her army the way that Kellogg's was for 5 minutes. That's why we need to look at that active ingredient and start making that choice ourselves. There is a different option. Zinc oxide is a much more stable pigment. It does have hiding properties from a chemistry standpoint, and it is much safer. Even safer is nanoparticle zinc oxide. So there are more and more companies starting to get bigger and promote with zinc oxide as the active ingredient. That is what you want to look for. It's going to give you protection from the sun without the scaries and the toxins that come with that. So it's a win-win in all ways. Many of the mineral sunscreens that are having the titanium dioxide as the active ingredient are going to be white because that is a white pigment. The zinc oxide actually is a much clearer formula most oftentimes. So Sun and Soul, great fucking product. I also really like Badger. It's sold at Whole Foods. It's the only Cheeky approved sunscreen, I believe, that's at Whole Foods. But what I like about it is they have one that's in a tin. Raw Elements is also a really great one. They have a tinted one as well. Safe for the barrier reef. Again, these formulas are not only going to be safe for our bodies, but then we're going to go swim in the ocean. And I mean, we're going to harm the wildlife and the planet. Like, I don't want that karma, do you? And these products are really good. So those are some of my favorite brands. I have all of these linked on my Shop My page. And I think a great place to start. I also wanted to mention household cleaners, synthetic clothing, plastics, pesticides, air fresheners, and food packaging exceeds 500 plus chemicals that we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis. So while it might seem like, is it really going to do anything for me to swap out this pair of leggings, this pair of Lululemon leggings that's full of PFAS materials that then I go sit in the sauna in, for a pair of Mate the Label leggings that don't contain PFAS? Yeah, it actually does, because when you make that one little switch in your synthetic clothing, and then you make that one little switch in your SPF, and then you make that one little switch in your shampoo, and then you make that one little shift in buying something that's packaged in glass versus plastic, and then you make that one little shift of never even looking towards Febreze again, guys, like, your chances of reducing those diseases have just gone down dramatically. And they were products that you were going to buy anyways. That's what I love about it. But these are things to just become aware of, because we truly do have so much power as consumers. I say body, mind, and soul because when it comes to truly toxic free, low tox living, it's a daily choice, a daily routine, and And it's a way to empower ourselves to live differently in a world where we're exposed to so many scaries. And it's more than just what we're eating. It's what's around us. It's what's in our bodies. It's what's in our mind. It's what we're consuming. It's how we're living. What is fueling you? Think about your fuel. Think about your body as a car. When you buy a luxury car, they recommend a higher end fuel. We are a luxury ass species. We need to be fueling ourselves accordingly. That comes to what we're eating, that comes to what we're supplementing with, that comes to what we're watching, how we're moving, what we're reading. All of these areas are what make up our routine. We talked about thinking about your intentional choice. Maybe before making simple choices in your day, or when you look at your daily routine, think, is this fueling me, or how is this fueling me? I talked about it before, but there is a article that I've shared and spoken about from the National Institute of Health that talked about how with just making small little swaps that you can keep consistently, you can reduce breast cancer in the breast tissue significantly in just months. When you start to make these changes, you can literally change the health of yourself, your family, and your future, and your happiness. So those are just some basics, some ways to start shifting. And it's never been more pertinent questions that you guys had. Maybe one day we'll do a full episode called Ask Cheeks. But I asked if there were any questions this week, and I got a few really good ones that I thought I would share and that are in alignment with this discussion today. One was SPF, so we went into the details on that. One was chlorine in pools. And this is an interesting one because, like I said, the skin absorbs 64% of what we're putting on our bodies. And when you're swimming in a chlorinated pool, you are definitely absorbing that chlorine. The scary thing about chlorine is not only is it an irritant, but it is somewhat of a toxin. And who doesn't love a pool, right? Like, so there are ways to reduce the load. Like we said, we're never here to live perfectly. It's more about reducing that toxic load. One, rinse off in with clean, safe water before going in the pool. Always. That water is going to create a protective barrier. Secondly, get organic coconut oil, rub it all over your body, and then go swimming. And again, be careful because any oil is going to make you more prone to sunburn. But if you really, really want to avoid the chlorine and create the most protective barrier possible, you can put coconut oil on your body before you get in the pool. When you get out of the pool, rinse again with non-chlorinated water and get the chlorine off of you, get the residue off of you, get the coconut oil off of you, and then apply a zinc oxide based sunscreen. What meat are you sourcing when you can't get to the farmer's market? I love Force of Nature and I can't say enough good things about it. I also like, I think it's called Wild Idea, where you can order really high-end, wild caught, safe sourced fish, salmon, etc. Highly recommend those brands that are sold nationally. I have a whole resource episode. It's called How to Detoxify Your Cart. Definitely go to that episode and listen in. I give all the details there. And then I also have a grocery list guide on my Instagram page where you'll see this listed as well. Also the farms that I really like locally, that if you're in the Midwest, that you can source from. Farmers market scaries. What things should I avoid at the farmers market? So just because it is the farmers market doesn't mean it's perfect. In general, you can be sure that the majority of the products there, because they're handmade or homegrown, are going to be so much higher quality than what's in the grocery store. The just nature of being a naturally derived product that is made is increasing that standard tenfold. So when you really feel like, oh my gosh, all I have is like packaged shit, like, I really need to make a change, go to the farmer's market, shop till your heart's content, and don't even worry so much about the ingredients because the chances of the standard being higher are so much better. However, if you are really in tune and you want to say like, okay, but I really want to make sure that I am understanding where these products are coming from, how they're being made, ask the vendor. They will love to tell you about the products that they're creating. Be You can look online before I go to the farmer's market. If I'm in whatever city I'm in, or after while I'm there, I search the farm. I look at their website. I see the practices that they're using. And again, most all of them will tell you this at the market. But it is important to make sure that it is organic practices and pesticide free. Organic is really hard to get as a certification. It is expensive. It's FDA run. There's a lot of bullshit that comes with that. So just because it doesn't say organic on the label doesn't mean it's a no. It means just ask questions. What is the practice for how the meat is raised? Is it organic meat? Is there access to safe drinking water for the animals? Things like that. You can always send me a farm and I'll take a peek. As with grocery store, when things are packaged products that would be able to sit on a shelf longer, just take a look at the ingredients and ask some questions and understand what everything in it is. For the majority of farmers markets, you have to put on it an ingredient label. And so it is really rare when there's chemicals in there. But if there are preservatives, if there are artificial flavors, those are things that you'd want to avoid and ask questions about. Electrolytes to refuel that aren't Gatorade. Gatorade is trash. It is canceled by the cheeky community. We don't stand. I would recommend two things. One, a really quality Celtic salt, not any salt. So putting salt in your water has definitely become a norm. There is a lot of really toxic spices, sadly, on the marketplace today that are super cheap. Salt that is quality and pure. I really love the Celtic salt. It's typically a little grainier, but it is so good for the body. Actually remineralizes the body naturally. So even if you don't want to invest in an electrolyte, just put some of those salts in there and it's doing wonders for your body, especially on an empty stomach. And I swear by one brand and one brand only, and that's Body Bio. And the reason why is because it has bicarbonate electrolytes in it, which means that they're actually going to sink into the cells in your body versus just wash right past them. In my cheeky opinion, 90% of the electrolytes in commercial stores are complete bullshit, and the majority of them have so much sugar, so much chemical additives, and really are just selling you marketing. Body Bio is liquid. That again tells you how incredible it's going to be as a concentrated form of quality electrolytes, and it is made with bicarbonate chain ingredients. So you put a little capful in your water, add a little, some people think it's a little salty as it is, so you may not want to add salt when you use that, but maybe I've been using it for a while. I don't know. I can't even taste it in my water, but throw some ginger in your water, throw a little squeeze of lemon. You won't even notice it's in there, and it is so good, so powerful, and really works. Are you in AA? I saw the book on your Instagram story. I do not identify as an alcoholic. However, I have battled my own addiction issues, and I think I've just came to terms recently that it doesn't have to be a substance always that you can be addicted to. And anything that you are codependent on, whether it's marijuana or love and attachment, that you are creating negative situations in your life from, those are things that you can heal from and that a 12-step program can help with. And I have started the process of working a 12-step program to release those addictive tendencies that I've carried. It's been pretty hard to come to terms with them. It's a pretty emotional ride, but just starting to gain a community in that space that is judgment free is changing my life. And I do want to answer that question because I think it's important for other people to realize you don't need to heal alone. I talked really vulnerably in detail about this on my first and only Substack article that I've ever written. I'm going to be sharing a much more vulnerable space there through my writing. So if you guys want to connect deeper, please join me there. I'm also going to start putting some support guides for some of the things that we talk about on the podcast on the Substack. People like a hard copy that they can read and screenshot and know how to gain resources to become empowered. I couldn't be more genuine when I say that together we are a fucking force. If one person learns how to heal themselves and gains tools to feel better and live lighter, it is one thing. When we can share those with our community, our family, and the collective, it creates an incredible, powerful shift that changes destinies and truly heals us all. And that is the type of energy that I want to put out into the world and gain alongside you guys. I've always said if I can help one person live or feel better, it's worth sharing as much about what's helped me as possible and vice versa. So please keep asking questions and please stay in touch. Please empower yourselves and know that together we can make better, more informed choices. Knowledge is power. And I look forward to a day when I come on here and say that those stats have changed and that we're getting healthier, we're living lighter, and we're doing it together. If you like this podcast and the brand is helpful for you, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review at YouTube and Spotify. It truly means the world. As just one small voice trying to help us grow, we become powerful when we are a united front. You can always find my shop and the things that we talked about today. Again, not being paid by these brands, just want to help you guys heal at my website, which is thecheekyclean.com, my shop, my page, which is linked there. There are links to all of the podcast episodes if you want to go back and revisit something that would be helpful for you, or you heard something in this episode and you want to go back and listen. Cheekyclean.com is where it's at. To join the force and start communicating, DMing me products, asking me questions at the Cheeky Clean on Instagram. I will always respond. And remember, who you follow, what you watch, what you consume, what you eat, and what you think. It's all a powerful voice for where we're going. And with that, cheeks, thanks for being here today. I'll see you next week.